Hi everyone. So welcome to the practice problem for arrays. So today the problem that we're looking at is Leetcode 2798, number of employees who met the target. So the problem is like this. There are n employees in a company numbered from 0 to n minus 1. Each employee I has worked for hours I hours in the company, right? So this hours I basically suggests that hours is an array given to us, and hours of I, which means the ith number uh, or the number at the ith index in this array hours, basically tells us how many hours the employee has worked in the company. Now, the company requires each employee to work for at least target hours. So target is an integer. You are given a zero indexed array of non-negative integer hours of length n and a non-negative integer target, right? So just as we discussed, return the integer denoting the number of employees who worked at least target hours. Okay, so we basically need to count. So we're basically given a list, and in this, so let's say the second employee, right, worked 2 hours, right? Um, the zeroth employee worked 0 hours, right? In this example, the zeroth employee worked 5 hours. The fourth employee worked 2 hours, right? So remember, this is zero indexing, right? Now what we need to do is we need to count how many employees worked more or equal to hours than this target number of hours, right? So basically all we need to do is we need to uh, count how many numbers in this array hours are greater than this target number, greater than or equal to this target number, right? So how do we do that? So a simple way to do that would basically be to iterate through this whole array, right? Which means go to each and every index of this um, hours array, right? And at each index we can see what value is there, and if that value is greater than target, then we can kind of add one to a counter that we maintain, right? So that's all we need to do here, right? So let's start off by coding. So the first thing we'll need, as we discussed, is a counter which keeps track of how many employees or how many indices we have come across till now which are greater than this target, right? So let's call that answer, right? And initially that's initialized to 0, right? uh, Now after that we basically need to iterate through all the elements in this hours array, and we learned how to do that in our previous video. So for I in range of 0 to length of hours and with a step of 1, right? A shorter way to write this is just for I in range of length of hours, right? In this case, it kind of assumes that the step is 1 and that the starting index is 0. So we just need to basically give this end parameter, which means end before length of hours, right? So for I in range length of hours, um, now what happens is that I is the index that we're kind of using for this hours array, and I is going to basically start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and go till length of hours minus 1. So it's basically going to go through all possible values of indices in hours, right? At each index, what we need to do is we need to compare if hours of I, which means the um, element at that index in hours, if this element is greater than or equal to target, right, then we basically need to add 1 to our answer, right? Which means that um, there is this employee has worked greater than or equal to the number of target hours. So we increase one to our global counter, which is answer, right? And after that, so yeah, we just let this loop run. In the end, all we need to do is return this answer that we've calculated, right? So that's basically it. That's how you use arrays in a question. That's how you kind of work with them, and how you kind of use them in formulas, right? As we saw here, just by referencing um, the value at the index, how we learned in the last video, right? So if I run this, it should pass these sample tests, right? It does pass them. And now if I submit it, yeah, it kind of works and beats 100%. So that's all. That's all for this video. um, I hope this helped with a little bit of practical application of arrays. In the next video, we'll kind of delve deeper into how arrays actually work, and how they're basically stored in memory, etc. Um, but for this video, that's all. So thank you for watching, and keep learning.